Okay, so just waiting for Ben to jump on, and then we will answer some questions going into plans for January. Here he is. Hey.
Hello, mate. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. How are you?
I'm all right. I almost just knocked myself out on the door.
Yeah, don't do that.
No, yeah. Delay. I was like, hang on a minute. Am I alive? What's going on? Are you well?
Yeah, good. Are you?
Yeah, really good. Really good.
Yeah. First question I want to ask: where did you get Gracie's uniform outfit from? Because I think I'm going to get one for Christmas.
I've had lots of requests for that, to be fair. People are more interested in that, I think, like what my daughter's going to wear today.
I saw it and I was like, oh my God, that looks so cool.
Yeah.
Did she have a good day?
Yeah, it's really nice. It's actually her birthday tomorrow.
Right.
I have a little one's birthday. They're so close. We were like, oh, we're gonna have to be adult here and do like a joint thing, which they
and
will.
then you've got Christmas as well.
Yeah,
December is an expensive month for you. You didn't think that through, did you?
we haven't planned well, have we?
No.
A bit of a shocker. Let's be honest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
Oh well, never mind. So my dog likes to interrupt, so here she is. Come on.
Get her on, mate. I think.
There you go.
Now we're talking.
Yeah, so she might be able to answer the questions better than I do. Sometimes she comes in and she's just like, yeah, what you doing? I'm like, it's not exciting at all.
Yeah, it's nothing good.
She just wants to be nosy. She's like, what you doing? Because normally she's back in. Normally at this time of day, obviously I'm just sat downstairs watching telly.
Yeah, so
and now she's like, why are we not on the sofa having snacks? What's going on?
Yeah.
Yeah, so we thought we'd jump on this live to kind of talk about January, like what people's plans are. Like, so if anyone's got any questions, pop them in the box or comment, that's fine. And, you know, how to kind of get back on track. Because I think, well, the state of the country at the minute, Boris is going, yes, lockdown, no lockdown. Like, I think everyone's going to go, let's go mental for the next week, because I just don't think people know what's going to happen. Like, there's a lot of talk of lockdowns from the 28th that I've seen. I don't know what you've seen about.
Can we swear on lives?
What?
Can we swear on a live?
Why not?
Yeah, he's a twat, isn't he? Like, but it's just the whole thing is like, it's stressful because it's causing so much anxiety because and it's the unknown, and it's like, I think for myself, I built up a lot of pressure on this not pressure, that's the wrong word, but because obviously my daughter was born this time last year, lots of people get to meet her until she was like 8 weeks old, and people only like babies when they're like 2 weeks old. After that,
when they won, they're like, no thanks, we don't want to do that.
But like, the reality is that people want it, like, you know, you sort of built up the moment for this Christmas, and then there's sort of all this stuff's going on, brings on pressure, which brings on sort of stress, in which brings on more self-applied pressure about things that we maybe feel like we should have achieved that we kind of didn't, and then we're like, oh man, this is a joke. But it goes back to probably what this whole thing's going to be about, is control like what you can, right, and be as present and be in, you know, because otherwise it just becomes a bit of a mess.
Yeah, and I think it's that uncertainty that people kind of go, oh, I'm just going to throw my diet out the window, throw my exercising out the window, because, like, what's the point type of thing. And I think people forget that, like, the point of eating healthy and, you know, getting your steps in, drinking your water, all that good stuff, is for you to feel good. It's not for everyone else. Like, you eating rubbish and eating takeaways and sitting on the sofa isn't doing anyone like any harm apart from yourself. And I think a lot of people kind of self-sabotage, and, you know, when things externally go on, they kind of internally self-sabotage, and it's a shame really. But like you say, it's about controlling the controllables, and it's not about what's happening to you, it's about how you react to that. You know, and trying to change your thought process of, do you know what, if Boris locks us down on the 28th, can I do anything about it? Not really. What can I do? Well, I can control everything up towards, you know, that day. I can have a good Christmas, and, you know, and then when that hits, you just make a plan accordingly, you know. And I think it's the way people react to things sometimes. Yeah,
no, 100%. And kind of, if we kind of, I don't want to make it sound like we're robots, or we're not, but ultimately you being able to kind of control your emotions is the thing that gets you to where you want to be, right? Like, let's just assume that we're talking about someone whose goal like is fat loss. Like you can still achieve you can still achieve that, right? Without all these other shiny toys and things and tricks and bits and pieces that we need. Whatever your goal is, if it's like muscle building or whatever, you can still achieve that from home or whatever situation things. And I think sometimes I use this sometimes we can overwhelm the whole thing, and then we end up just doing nothing, and then we get further down the timeline and think, do you know what, I've not done what I wanted to do because I got so overwhelmed. When ultimately, like, the biggest driver to any success is just doing something. It doesn't matter. It's like, do something positive, taking action, because once you start taking action on anything, right, like there's something that I talk to my guys a lot about, putting a 2p in the machine, right? Like the 2p, your 10,000 steps, your water, your protein, your I don't know, your how many sessions you're going to do. So every time you're putting a 2p in the machine, when you put the 2p in, it goes, sometimes you get nothing, don't you? You go, for God's sake. Sometimes you put a few and you get like a fiver and an ugly looking key ring come out. But like, that's the point. You've got to keep every day just putting a little bit in. Like, it doesn't matter what anyone else around you is doing. It's ultimately what you're doing, like what you need to do to achieve what you want to achieve, basically.
Yeah, and I think people in January want to go from 0 to 100. So they sat on the sofa every day, ordering takeaways 3-4 times a week, you know, not getting great sleep, staying up all night, you know, in a job that maybe they don't like, or whatever, you know, whatever the situation is. And then the 1st of January comes, or maybe the 2nd, you know, the 3rd, because it's a Monday, you know, and then they're like, oh, I'm going to drink 2 litres of water. I'm going to get my veg in. I'm going to have no takeaways, no chocolate. I'm going to get 10,000 steps in. I'm going to hit the gym 4 times a week, which for me and you, that's just our normal everyday thing on a good week, that we will do that. Whereas someone that's gone from not doing any of that to then try and do it all, you're going to fail, because you can't start doing 6 new things, no matter what it is, whether it's in health and fitness, whether it's in a new job. You know, no one's ever going to give you 6 brand new things to start at. I always say to my guys, like, sometimes 2-3 weeks in, we have a catch-up call and they're like, oh, I've not even started the workouts yet. And I'm like, it doesn't matter. They're there for you to utilize when you're ready. You know, I want to make sure that, you know, where's your sleep at? Can you start monitoring it? You know, have you got your 2 litres of water in? Can you make changes to that? Where your steps at? 4,000? Okay, let's get to 5. You know, and they're like, oh, well, I've only done a few things. And I'm like, yeah, but you've made progress. You've lost weight. Yeah, but I've not done the workouts. That doesn't matter. And I think when people have not got someone guiding them, like me or you in our coaching services, then they kind of think they've got to do it all on that one day, and to be able to get results, it's like that extreme of what they need to do when they don't. I mess around with my lot and they call me like the traffic warden, because I end up like slowing them down and just saying, look what you've achieved, look how far you've come. Because like, don't get me wrong, like, I like the feeling of it being difficult. Like I like that. I like doing a workout and thinking, God, that was difficult. Like, it's brilliant. You feel like you we know it's just like a placebo type thing, but that's a brilliant thing to have. But I think what can happen is when you sort of dive straight into it, you think, right, I'm ready, I'm going to do this. Like, as you said, I'm going to do X amount of steps, I'm going to do this. And you become so overwhelmed with it, you then either hit a wall and you go, I can't do this anymore, it was too difficult, and you go back to where you were. As in reality, if you said you just literally take your steps up by 2,000, if you literally just start having a couple more portions of veg, if you do, if you're not working out at all currently, if you're doing like 1 or 2 a week, like, or even if they're really short ones, like, that still counts, right? That's like, still amazing. Like, go with that. Imagine where you'll be if you can mimic that for the entire year. What result, how will you feel about yourself if you could do that the entire year, as opposed to just going like hell for leather for like 1 or 2 months and then just then absolutely doing nothing. And I think sometimes the small steps make you feel better. You know, you might not necessarily see like a scale result straight away, but if you start sleeping better, or, you know, drinking more water, you're going to feel a bit more refreshed, a bit more alive, a bit more energy. Because I'm guessing the same with you. Clients that come to me are like, oh, I'm tired, I'm lethargic, you know, I just can't be bothered, you know, and they're stuck in kind of that rut. And when I went on holiday in November, I went to Jamaica and they were 5 hours different than us. And they were 5 hours behind. So then when I got home and it's like midnight, I'm like, it's really only 7 p.m. and I wasn't wanting to go to bed, and I struggled for 10 days, and I did everything I tell clients to do, of winding down, bedtime routine, like listening to Headspace, a Calm app, you know, no caffeine after like 3-4 o'clock. I was doing a lot, but obviously my body was shifted by those 5 hours for 2 weeks. And it took me 10 days of getting back to a normal kind of sleep routine. And obviously being winter here, it doesn't help that, you know, the sun don't rise till 8 p.m. 8 a.m. sorry. So I didn't have that daylight waking, you know, that you would normally get. And I struggled for 10 days. And just the difference of my sleep being off, everything else was on point, you know, back drinking my water, back to my meal prep, calorie counting, you know, I was back on everything I was doing, back to the gym and stuff. But just that one thing of the sleep just threw me off massively. And it just kind of gave me a bit of an eye-opener because I've got everything in place. When one thing falls out of place, I notice it massively. Honestly. And obviously clients have got so many things out of place. So just by fixing one or two, they're going to massively feel better just from that.
And it's that, I think that's the biggest eye-opener, is that we sometimes feel a certain way about something and go, oh, I always feel like that. Or if you're like, as you said, lethargic, or certain foods you eat, like a lot of the guys that I eat things that don't sort of quote unquote sit well with them, right? I'm not going to say any names because I don't want people to get confused and think I'm talking about foods good or bad, because no foods are good or bad. But do you know what I mean? Generally eating things that don't sit well with them, right? And you say, well, do you know, if you swap that for this, you might, and they go, oh my God, I feel so much better. And it's like, well, yes, because that is something that just doesn't like agree with you, right? And making these small little changes give you so much kind of energy, and just when sometimes I suppose we can feel like we kind of lack motivation. Sometimes we just feel a bit terrible, right? Like if we just start better, the tasks that we've got to go and do, one will be easier, and two will just be able to like perform better when we're doing it. Like sales will be better, just energy around other people will be better, work performance will be better, and all in all, it just, do you know what I mean? Just like fits into place a bit, kind of more easier.
And that's it. And just changing those small few things, and not trying to go from 0 to 100, because I think people try and go all in January. And I've had clients come to me going, oh, I'm not going to eat chocolate. I'm like, why? Oh, I can't eat chocolate on a diet. I'm like, no, I'm going to teach you how you can incorporate chocolate in every single day. Right, you've got to eat chocolate every day now. What? Like I had one client, she did the last 8-week program I did, September, October. She lost 13 pounds in the 8 weeks. And she said her vice was crisps. And she was like, oh, you know, I just struggle. I'm just eating loads of crisps. So hers wasn't chocolate, it was crisps. So I gave her a few different options, you know, schedule it into MyFitnessPal at the beginning of the day. You know, go for a lower calorie option, a smaller bag, a smaller portion, not the big massive bags where you go, I'm just going to weigh 20 grams out. No, you're just going to go back to the back. So we worked on a few different strategies, and she was like, I cannot believe that I've stuck to this for 8 weeks. She said, before now, I've only ever logged in MyFitnessPal for about 2 or 3 days. I've been eating crisps all the time. I've lost all this weight. I actually can't believe it. And I barely did anything with her. I mean, obviously I did, because she lost 13 pounds, but it was more around that mindset of, you don't have to do 100 things. You're just going to pick what your problem is. So obviously the crisps, kind of manage that, incorporate it into your diet, get some more steps in, manage your sleep, get a bit more water in, count your calories, and that was it. You know, and sometimes it's the simple things that work rather than the overly complicated programs that are out there.
Exactly that. And it is about just taking action. And just to quickly interject, you are downplaying your skill there. She's very good, everybody. But that's what it is, right? That's sometimes the point, right? You can get over kind of whelmed, right? To sort of maybe to talk about myself a little bit, so people don't kind of get uncomfortable. Like when I started at the gym, I used to do all sorts of things, try all these kind of workout plans, try all these kind of like fancy kind of like supersets and all these bits and pieces. I was like, oh, this will help me lose weight, or whatever the goal was at the time. But it doesn't, because you're basically jumping in and out of things. Like you have zero consistency. Like the is, as like Victoria got at, is that consistency is the key, right? So whatever you're doing, just like keep going at that consistency. Then you can then look back and say, do you know what, this worked or this hasn't worked? Because when sometimes you have what's the word, like a small kind of like time frame of doing something, you don't or not. It's just your mind telling you it is or it isn't, right? You actually need like a big chunk of time, like working through something to say, do you know what, this is or isn't working. It's like, have you stuck to it long enough? Like sometimes some of the things that I kind of have to say to some of my guys is like, oh, it's Ben, it's not going fast enough. It's like, well, did you do X, Y, and Z this week? Well, I did X and Y. It's like, okay, Y and Z. So we did X and Z. So it's like, okay, so next week we try and do X, Y, and Z again. So you just and I realize it's really hard, and that's why you probably hear something like in terms of fitness, people talking about standards quite a lot. Like, what's your standard? And if I was to say what my standard is to say one of my clients, that might be slightly different, and that's not because I'm right or they're wrong. It's just where I'm at and they're where they are currently at. But ultimately, what you're trying to do is you're trying to just raise the minimum for you. What a minimum is that you do on a weekly basis, right? Like if the week went to shit, as in like your house caught on fire, as in Boris turned up, then still my minimum, right? I'm still going to tick all these boxes and get this done. As ultimately all you're doing is trying to go down the timeline, so your minimum is so much higher, and then you'll basically just get more results, right? But that first bit you can't skip of just going through the motions every day.
No, and like you say, it is that consistency. I had one client, and you know, she was seeing a bit of weight loss results, and then she'd go for a meal out or have a bit of a high calorie day, and the weight would spike up, and then she'd bring it back down again, and she was just like kind of in that cycle. And I said, you can do the down part. I said, it's just managing that up bit now. So we're working on that. But one thing I said to her was, can you increase your output? So she was doing about 4,000 or 5,000 steps a day. And she's like, oh, I don't know. And I said, without comparing me to you, I said, I can do 4,000 steps without leaving my house. You know, going up and down the stairs, letting the dog out, making my dinner, doing some work up here, going back down. I said, I can get 4,000 steps in the house. So I said, are you genuinely trying to get it in, without obviously, you know, trying to like say that she wasn't like working hard enough? And I said, let's just see. So I gave her a few things to do, and I did a post about it soon after I spoke about her, you know, marching on the spot while the kettle's boiling, the microwave's going, you're cooking something, you know, in the adverts of the TV, whatever. And then she was doing it, and she didn't quite get the 10,000 every day, but to go from 4 to 5 to 10 was massive. And then last week she messaged me, she went, oh, I got home from work, I was in the office all day because normally she works at home. I came home, I was on 4,000 steps. By the end of the day, I hit 10,000. I was like, amazing. What did you do? Every single advert, when I was watching the teller, I got up and was marching on the spot. You know, and I said sometimes it's about forcing those things in. And I said, steps are not that easy to get in. Some people they are, depending on your job. I said, but if you know that you can't just get your steps in, they've got to be forced. I said, I have to force mine in some days when I go, oh, I really don't want to. What I did was I set a 3 p.m. alarm on my phone that goes off every day now. And this was from having that conversation with her on a catch-up call a few weeks ago. And I said, set some alarms in your phone of things to remind you to do things, because we forget. So I said at 3 p.m. every day, my alarm goes off on my phone and it says steps, and I go, right, check what are my steps at. And if they're really low, I've got enough time, I've got at least 3-4 hours to either go to the gym, take the dog out, jump around the house. You know, and it's about setting yourself up not to fail, you know. And I think people just think things are going to naturally happen.
And that's the thing is like, we talk with my gang, we talk a lot about having it as almost like rituals. There's a gentleman, for example, to give a bit of context. There's a gentleman I work with he's quite high up in the company he works at. Generally, sometimes he can't just go and do some steps. So we have like higher step days and then just lower step days. So sometimes how you'd like manage other things, we kind of say, right, on this day you're going to try and hit X amount, on that day you're going to hit X amount, blah blah blah. Kind of takes off the pressure, right? Because if you say, do you know what, after dinner, if you've got kids or whatever, I'm going to go for a quick walk around the block, or I'm going to, as you said, take the dog out. It becomes something that's just kind of part of your week. Ultimately, what we're trying to achieve for you, the viewer, is that you stop thinking about it so much. So you're just doing it and realize, you know what, if I do this, it's going to actually make me feel better. Yes, I'm going to achieve the result. It's going to be amazing. Life is going to be absolutely great, but you're just going to feel better, and everything else kind of like clicks into place. Like, it's really like unsexy to say, do you know what, I'm doing this for like, say, my mental health, for example. Like that. I'm just going out for a walk because my mental health needs it. But In reality,
Sometimes it does.
well, it does, but then in reality, that is what you're kind of doing it for, right? Is that you're just trying to put yourself in the best like possible spot. Like as you said, if you were literally to sit on the sofa all day, like it would probably be pretty great to be honest. You could watch some good stuff, but at the end of the day, you'd feel terrible, wouldn't you? And into the
Yeah.
next, feel terrible. So setting them as kind of like rituals of when you're going to do stuff, like when is actually feasible. Like when you might just generally not be able to do it, and do you know what? That's okay. Like, and I think, as you said, is like if you set yourself a target or whatever you're trying to hit and you don't hit it, it's not a failure. It's just how can next time can you get closer to it, or do you just need to bring that marker down a little bit on that day and maybe rise it up on a different day, for example. And there's always ways to like the skill of like Victoria is that she is able to manipulate everything that you need manipulating, because one, she's great at her job, but it's to help take it like a bird's eye view of it, right? To be like, oh, I'm so overwhelmed, like what's not working? And it's to say, you know what? If you change this for that, bingo, you're in. And sometimes it is as simple as that.
Yeah, and that girl messaged me the other day. She's like, "Oh, I only did 5,800 steps today. This happened, that happened. Totally forgot to check where I was at. Fell asleep on the sofa, woke up, and I was like, not done my steps." And she had it gone midnight. So I said, "That's fine. You know, try and make it up over the weekend. You've got Saturday, Sunday." So this was like Thursday. She messaged me. So I said, "Right, well, you've got Saturday, Sunday. Just try and get those a little bit of a higher step day. You know, it's not about being 100% perfect every day. It's about aiming for those goals, whatever those goals are, and you know, just hitting it 9 times out of 10. It's not about, you know, hitting it every single day perfect. And I think that's another thing. Like people think that it has to be perfect for it to work, or you know, you've got to go to that extreme. And it's like your calories don't have to be perfect every day. You go over one day, come under the next day, you know, and it's the same with steps. It's the same with everything. You know, you can kind of manipulate things some days up, some days down, you know, and fit it around your life. Because if you go for a meal out somewhere, you know, you don't want to be going, "Oh, I'm just going to have the chicken salad with no dressing and a glass of water," because like no one wants that. You know, you want to go, "Yeah, I'm going to have that delicious meal and I'm going to have a cocktail," because you want to live your life and you want to enjoy your life. And it's about us educating clients that they can do that. And that's not 100% perfect, but if the other 6 days of the week are, then that's fine. You're going to make progress.
Yeah, exactly that. And that's the hardest thing. That is the hardest thing with all of this, is that accepting that it doesn't have to be 100% perfect every time. Like, it's not doable. Like, it's just not doable. Like, 2022 is going to go tits up. Like, weird shit's going to happen. And that's fine. That's fine. It's just how you kind of handle it and how you navigate the things. And that's a skill, right? That's ultimately what you're trying to do. You're just trying to navigate through everything that's happening on a weekly basis. Like, and
I think, like you say, it's a learned skill. And like what we can do on a daily basis is just because we've practiced these habits, we've practiced these routines, we've practiced getting our steps in. Like when I was in Jamaica, they had a gym on site, didn't really have any aircon, which was a bit annoying. But someone was like, how did you make it to the gym 9 days out of 14? And I said, because I'm in that habit, because I'm in that routine. I might have only spent 20 minutes in there because it was too hot, you know, some days half an hour. I said, but it's that going in 20 minutes, 4 exercises, supersetting those exercises, and then going to breakfast. Like that was like our little routine in the morning. And it was so easy to incorporate it in because 1, I like training. 2, I'm used to doing it 3-4 times a week anyway. So it wasn't like I had to drag myself there. And I think people feel like, you know, we're special in some kind of way because we can go and do these things. And I said, it's not that. It's just a practiced skill and a practiced routine that we just do every day because it's just what we do these days. It's just the person that we are.
Yeah, and it's just like what we were talking about at the beginning of the video. It's just understanding the value of training itself, right? Like, yes, we're trying to achieve something, may that be like aesthetically or whatever, performance-wise, but generally you'll just feel 100 times better once you've done something positive for yourself. And it's like going through that timeline just for a bit and then going, do you know what? I just feel better for that. Like I had one of my clients text me the other day. She goes, I went out for a run because I fancied it. And then I come back and I feel amazing. Like, like she wouldn't have done that 2 or 3 months ago. Like she wasn't in that kind of mindset to go and do that. But once you start getting into that, and like ultimately having like a bit of accountability is massive. Like having someone to say to, do you know what? One, in case like you don't really know what you're doing and you're slightly confused, but having someone to say to, do you know what? I haven't actually done that. Like it makes you feel like a bit of a dick. Like
Yeah.
can't get away from it. It's then like, do you know what? I've got to do this, because ultimately you're not doing it for like me or you. You're for like yourself. And sometimes you need that just to kind of get going, just to kind of like build up the kind of like the like momentum basically with everything.
Yeah, I mean, everyone wants to be like motivated, but it's very hard to be self-motivated with like, you know, something that you don't know anything about. And, you know, I do a lot of education with my clients. And like you just said there, you know, knowing the reason why you're doing something.
Yeah.
So after I got back off holiday, despite going to the gym, when I got back, I struggled to get back in the gym, even though I'd just been going. And that was because I was prioritizing my business. You know, working for myself, it's like, well, I've just had 2 weeks off. I need to jump back in. I need to catch up where I was at.
Yeah.
I need to kind of put some more content out there, you know, kind of catch up. So the gym kind of went to the side for like the first week I was back. And then I was like, right, I need to remember the reason that I'm going to the gym and, you know, to feel better. And I had like a bit of a niggly shoulder last year. And I noticed if I don't go and train, it kind of comes back. So I'm like, well, I've got to go and train because otherwise my shoulder's going to come back a bit niggly, you know. I like being strong. It's why I go to the gym. You know, I like working out. I like how it makes me feel. You know, I know the benefits of older age and, you know, training as much as you can while you're younger, building as much bone density, muscle mass, you know, so then you've just got to kind of remind yourself and go, actually, these are the reasons that I'm doing it. You know, I'm not going to the gym because, well, I am going because I enjoy it, but sometimes you've just got to go for that reason behind the thing that you're doing.
Yeah, exactly that. 100%. And the thing is, like, as you were sort of hinting at there, as you kind of get older, the reasons that you're doing it change. The reasons you're doing it for, like, for me now, obviously, I do it for, like, for my kids and my wife and to be like a good role model, and obviously for my clients, lead by example, so they see me in the gym. Like, I hate going to the gym at like the crack of dawn, but that I can go because obviously I've got other responsibilities, other things to go on.
Yeah.
After a conversation like with my wife and the importance of it, blah 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 blah, to speed up the story a little bit, I have to go and do that to feel better and make everything kind of ultimately better. And as we kind of alluded to, like, once you can kind of click into that and say, do you know what, this is something that I get to do, not something that I have to do, you'll just, you know, again, that's another way, because ultimately that's what we're trying to do here, is just make you feel less kind of like guilty, all those words, pressure, all that sort of stuff around this. It's saying, you know, I need this for me, as in for myself to be better. I need this for everyone else to feel better. And then once that starts, like, I was listening to a podcast and I forget what they were talking about, but they were ultimately saying when you achieve something, it's like a byproduct of all the good stuff that you've done. Like, the body that you want will be the byproduct of all the 2Ps that you put into the machine.
Yeah.
Good stuff, all the time, all the space, like downtime you take, whatever it might be, right? It's not always go, 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 because you've only got, you can't blast it out.
So this is a question that came through for you. How do you manage your time, your energy, and can you guess who put it in?
Is it the Troy Nixon?
It is.
I love Troy. How do I manage it? It's very hard because I wear like lots and lots of hats, but
I think he said something along the lines of like, you're just Superman.
I paid him to say nice things about me.
Yeah.
I wear like lots of hats and stuff, so I'm just really, really strict on like my like downtime. I've got very good at for example, like letting people into my life. I'm very strict on who like I let in, as in, like, you know what I mean, full on conversation.
Thanks for letting me in.
you're like, you're not. No, but I know this sounds horrible, but I don't have time because I've got my I've got my dog, I've got my clients, I've got my friends, I've got my family. It's like, do you know what? I need to be strict on the other bit so I can give the people that are most important to me the very best version of me, because that's not fair on them, because, you know, like, I'm in there.
Yeah, and I think, you know, we probably coach this as well with our clients. Like, I coach a lot about setting your week up for success and, you know, making sure that you plan your workouts in, or, you know, you plan your steps in or whatever. And, you know, it's about managing that energy. And it's about giving it to the right people. And like say, you know, I probably got like 5 close friends and that's it. You know,
yeah.
Everyone else is either an acquaintance or I don't really speak to, or I've just used to work with them. You know, it's probably like 5 people that I keep quite close to, you know, I speak to on a regular basis. You know, and that's it, because like you say, if you're just giving your energy to everyone, then you're going to have nothing left for yourself at the end of the day.
Yeah, and this isn't me saying get rid of your friends.
No.
I'm not saying that. I'm just saying that we only have so much time, and ultimately, like, I just want to do good stuff with my time. And I'm not saying, because sometimes you can end up doing things you don't agree with. Let's say someone that you might work with that you're not too keen on says, do you fancy a beer after work? And you're thinking, you know what, I do love a beer, but it's probably not in line with what I want to do. I've got to do X, Y, and Z. If I go, it's going to mess it up. Oh no. And you end up saying yes, and then you go and you're sitting there and you're feeling guilty. Like, I've just prevented myself from doing that stuff. I've just got really good at like valuing the word yes and no, because again, that might make me sound like a bit of a knob, but it's not meant to. It's just that.
No, but that's it. Like, you know, I talk to my clients about showing up as the best version of you to your friends and family. Like, especially, you know, you're a dad, you're a partner. The same with like my clients, you know, they could be a mom, a friend, a sister, you know, they might have parents that they've got to look after. And I said, you know, especially with what's gone on, you know, people are shielding, people aren't going out, people might need the shopping getting for them, you know, you might have kids to look after. You don't want to be like the worst version of you, like run down, tired, can't be bothered, no energy, because there's all these people that rely on you. So if you're kind of either spreading yourself too thin around too many different people, or you're not getting enough sleep, you're not prioritizing your nutrition, that is going to make you not turn up as a best version. And you want to be the best version for you, and obviously for your clients as well. Like, people say to me in check-ins and stuff, because I've said do videos and that, oh, you're just so positive all the time. And it's like, that's because I just cut all the negativity out. Like, if I'm following anyone on social media that's a bit negative, unfollow, unsubscribe, any emails, you know, delete. And I probably did that about 2 or 3 years ago, just got rid of all the negativity. Like, I don't look at politics, you know, religion or anything like that, anything that is going to put me in a negative headspace. So I might be hearing like my own little bubble, you know, and not knowing what's going on in the world, but I'm happier and I'm positive, and I'm showing up as a positive person, you know, for my clients that need that support.
Yeah, no, bang on 100%. And that's it. And that's the thing, is like, you might be listening to this and going, well, I haven't got any clients, but it's like, you've got family, you've got friends, you've got like work colleagues, all these people that need you to perform, because ultimately, like, it's pretty simple. Like, the better that you do, the more success and happiness that you're going to have, whatever realm that is. And again, whatever success and happiness looks like for you as an individual, right? I'm not here to tell you what.
Even in your job, you know, if you start sleeping better, you know, you're going to perform better at work, you could get that promotion. You know, it's not just about being healthy and happy, it's about the ripples into the rest of your life that kind of has that effect.
Yes, 100%. Mate, I'm fully on board with that. I just think it's so, again, I'm saying all this stuff again to be a bit transparent, is because I spent so many years of my life not doing this stuff, wondering why I wasn't getting there with the gym, or like confidence, like lack of self-worth, lack of self-belief. All of these words is because I was doing all the opposite to what I kind of do now. Like, it's not perfect. I'm not a robot. I'm not a ninja. I love TikTok. Like, I still do all these like these silly things, but it's just, I'm just stricter on when I do it, when I don't, when I know I'm doing this because I'm absolutely exhausted or I'm stressed out, I'm sitting there, it's like, no, you're not doing this now. It's just valuing basically yes and no so much more has just basically changed my life, really.
Yeah, 100%. And I think during lockdown, I was like 24/7 trying to work, you know, keep my business going and everything. And, you know, I wasn't having that downtime. And then obviously just having like 2 weeks off, even though I wasn't fully off, you know, and then come back and I just feel so much refreshed, and I'm like ready to hit the ground running. And, you know, I just feel so much better. I've got so much energy for my business and stuff. And, you know, without taking that time away, or that time for you, you know, you're not going to be a good person. You're just going to be, you know, just going to feel awful all the time. And I'm the same as you. Like, when I worked in bars and restaurants, you know, I was overweight. I was probably like a size 16 to 18. You know, wasn't feeling confident in my body. I probably wasn't really confident in my job, even though I was. Like, you know, I probably didn't come across as confident because I wasn't. I felt uncomfortable in my body. But at that time, I wasn't trying to do anything about it. You know, I was just working different shifts. I was just eating rubbish food, not sleeping great, you know, so that kind of had that knock-on effect. And as soon as I started training in the gym, tracking calories, sleeping a bit better, you know, changed my job to one that wasn't as demanding, you know, I dropped down the manager rank and I was like, oh, I feel loads better now, you know, and it just completely changed me as a person, which then made me want to go into health and fitness because I could see the benefits, whereas I'd never tried before up until then, you know, so I didn't know what I was like trying to do. I was just sat unhappy in that job, if that makes sense.
Yeah. Oh yeah, it's hard. All this stuff is hard. Like, I realize sometimes I'm really self-conscious about this when I put out content or talk on videos. Like, I don't want it to sound like, oh, it's okay, you just start doing this. Like, obviously the steps, like the thing in reality, the things that you need to do are like pretty simple, pretty basic, but it is hard to make those adjustments to get over kind of guilt of like other responsibilities, like pressure from outside, like people like family members, for example, that might not be in line with what you're currently trying to do because they're where you are in the timeline, you're looking forwards, but always remember there's always like someone behind you, and there's all these like external things for you to, like, quote unquote, deal with along the way. Like it isn't easy, and you need to, this is me saying to you, like, bravo for like giving it a good go, like bravo for trying all of this. And like, if you are feeling overwhelmed like right now and you're thinking, do you know what, I didn't happen for me, like I'm not where I meant like want to be, like there's no, this is cliche, like you're going to need a bucket, but there's no like end destination. You're not going to get somewhere and go, this is it, I've landed, great. It's like,
it's just a continual journey all the time.
Mountain, there's another one up there, and you're going to go, shit, I'm going to have to go up that one as well. And this is what it is. It's sit, just literally give yourself 5 minutes to give yourself a pat on the back and say, do you know what, I've done it, so I've done Y, that was fantastic. And then look at the things that maybe you feel that you could improve upon and say, do you know what, this didn't work, did I have this, I didn't, so this will be great, these are things that I can focus on, right? Like, it will make you feel better about yourself, mate.
Yeah, definitely. And it's just about getting started, basically. You know, don't put all this pressure on you. And like you said, you know, friends and family, that can be a massive thing. You know, I have people that go, oh, at work there's this pressure, like especially now, like how many boxes of chocolates are around. One of my clients works in a school and they did a buffet on Friday. So what she did was she took one plate of food, told everyone that she needed to go and finish sorting the classroom out for the Christmas party they were doing, even though she didn't, and took herself away from that situation. She said normally she would have gone back for seconds, and normally she would have had dessert as well, but she took herself out of that situation. And I was like, that's an amazing win. I don't care what you ate on the actual buffet, because you've already done a habit that is now going to help you minimize obviously the calories that you're having, you know. And I think I saw a meme and it says, you know, someone brings like a salad into work and it's immediately like, oh, are you dieting? Not like, this is actually normal food, this is what you should be eating. The people that are eating KFC and Burger King should be the ones that are being pointed at and going, oh, what are you having that for? You know, that's unhealthy. But it's not, is it? No, but it's not. But like, if you go to Subway or KFC on your lunch in an office, that's just deemed as normal. Whereas if you sat there with like a soup or a salad, it's now deemed as like you're dieting.
Yeah, why are you eating that for? Yeah. But again, people are in a different spot with this whole thing, right? And that's why it's difficult. That's why like we talk a lot about things externally to the actual kind of the actual like fitness itself, because ultimately it's not the things, we don't struggle with the actual fitness per se, it's the stuff around it that we actually struggle with. And that's basically, again, to go like full loop, it's like how you can kind of navigate all of those kind of pressures and those external things. It's how you, if you're going to get your result or not, right? Like, are you strong enough to say to that person saying, oh, do you want to go out for this? And it's you saying, do you know what, maybe we could do this instead. Like sometimes saying, oh, maybe we could do this instead. Like, do you have the confidence and like ability to say that to someone that is a friend or a family member? Like, people don't. And again, that's okay. But once you are able to start doing that sort of stuff, that's when all of a sudden it is easier, and that's when it becomes. But to get there isn't so.
Yeah, and that's it. People don't have that confidence in the beginning of their journey to say no to certain things, or, you know, no to friends and family, or whatever it might be. And it takes time to get that confidence. It's not going to come like, and that's obviously why me and you are here, to help people navigate. So like I said, you know, that woman was like, oh yeah, I've got to do something in my classroom, and took herself away from the situation. You know, so you can do something like that, or you can say, no thanks, I'm full. No, I don't like that. Oh, I'm going home and having this amazing meal. I don't want those chocolates, biscuits, cakes, you know, whatever it is. Like, no one knows that you don't like something. You know, a celebration. No, I don't like them. No, but you know what I mean? You can go, oh, I had about 6 before. Do you know what I mean? Like, you can just go, oh, I had some before, I don't need any. They don't know that you didn't have some. And it's just about those little white lies in the beginning.
Again, it's like what you feel comfortable with to give a response that is in line with the actual answer that you want to give. That might be a bit deep for a Tuesday night, but
yeah,
once you get to the point where you can just say, no, I'm all right, thanks, cheers. And then they go, oh, okay. But it takes them to, you know.
Oh, 100%. And like, being that headstrong with something takes a lot of practice. And it's by doing those little white lies at the beginning that then you can become more confident, because nobody wants the 100 questions. Oh, why are you dieting? You look all right as you are. You know, I said to my friend, oh yeah, I think I need to lose a couple of pounds in January. Oh no, you look fine. You know, and she's a PT as well. And it's like, well, you know, you should kind of understand. But, you know, it's getting those questions off people, and people don't want to deal with those questions of, well, why are you dieting? You look good as you are. Like, you know, you don't need to. And if you've got that deep rooted reason of why you want to do it, then it's very hard to kind of explain that to other people, especially when that deep reason of why you're dieting might be something really personal. You know, it could be, oh, I need to lose weight to have a baby, or I need to lose weight to feel good to be able to go out and get a partner. You know, no one's going to turn around and tell someone that reason for dieting. So then they don't tell them that they're dieting, and then they go, oh, well, I'll just have that chocolate. It's easier than saying I want to diet and then getting the 30 questions of why.
Yeah, 100%. And it is hard. Like I said already, like, it is hard, but getting sort of almost clear on why you're doing it, that's something that I talk to my lot about a lot, is like, why are you doing this? Like, 6 months down the line, how do you want to feel? How do you want to look? How do you want to, like, feel within yourself? Like, again, that's stuff that you probably don't think about. Probably a bit deep, like 2 minutes before Christmas. But that's the stuff that's going to also help you, because if you know how you want to look, how you want to feel, how you want to be able to almost like deliver yourself, then it's a bit like, hang on a minute, this is actually all makes sense. This kind of falls into line. This is values kind of like meet up, and again, it's just a lot easier. But in that initial stage, it's the whole like, oh, this is overwhelming. Should I do this? Should I be doing that? No, and it all just turns into like a washing machine of just a bit of mess. But if you can sort of stop the washing machine, get your gear out, hang it up, and look at it and go, do you know what? This is what I need to sort out. This is why I'm doing it. And again, everything will just kind of quote unquote fall into place a lot better.
Yeah. And I think that is a good place to end it. I think we've covered loads of stuff there, loads of helpful stuff. So I will save it and post it to my page, tag you in it. And if anyone's got any questions after watching this back, feel free to send me or Ben a message. And thanks for jumping on, Ben.
Mate, absolute pleasure. Thank you so much.
No problem. I'll speak to you soon.
Cheers, mate. Bye.
Bye.